Okay, welcome to the third in the series of serving. In the first one, we talked about rules and technique. In the second one, we talked about targets and how to practice for improving your serve. And in this one, we're going to talk about a strategy, which I think is an advanced type level of improving your serve. This is the area where I think the average player doesn't necessarily think about. An area where I think there's a great deal of improvement is necessary or available for most people, because a lot of people just are making sure that they can get their serve in, which of course is always the first level of priority. But then beyond that, once you have practiced and improved your serve, you should feel comfortable and confident that you can get in a variety of serves. Serves that are deep, serves that have spin, serves that are in different locations of the service box, and serves that are even vary in their depth. Some, even though the first priority beyond getting it in is to get it deep all the time, there are times when you will want to have a shorter serve that will force your opponent to hit up on the ball. And just for variety's sake, you know, there's a time for a hard serve, there's a time for a softer serve, there's a time for a high spin serve, there's a time for a flatter serve, there's a time for top spin, there's a time for side spin. All of these things are available to us, and we should be able to use all of those things. Just like a baseball pitcher does not use the same pitch every time, we should also be using different types of serves to keep our opponents off balance. Some of our opponents will love for us to serve to their forehand all the time. Some will like for us to serve to their backhand. Some will like the ball to be spun into them. Some will like for them to have the ball spun away from them. They're all different. And so through some trial and error, we can find things that will keep our opponents off balance. A lot of opponents will struggle with the ball that they have to run forward to hit, and will hit it out or will hit it into the net. So we need to be ready to try lots of different types of serves and be able to get them all in under all kinds of circumstances, so that we can have an advantage when we're serving. Now, pickleball is not going to be a great advantage when we're serving anytime. And our priority is not necessarily to have an ace. That's very rare in pickleball. We know that. Even when the opponent mishits it, oftentimes it will come over. But if we can create a weaker return with our serve, then we have an advantage. So oftentimes when we get a good serve, we may get a very weak return, a return that is short into the middle of our court, and then we have an advantage to jump on that. We have so many options with a weak return, and then we can do so many things with that weak return that if the return is good and deep, we just don't have those options. So we're not shooting for an ace every time, but we're shooting to keep our opponents off balance and to try and get a weaker return that we can then have some better options with. So I've left all the targets up from the previous video, and let's see if I can give you some video of some different types of serves that I try and work through so that we can see this in action. Okay, I've got a little bit of wind here today, so it's a little bit more challenging, but I'm going to start out where I usually start out practicing, and I'm on the left side of the court, which most of you tennis players would call the odd side or the ad side. And from here, I usually start out going to what would be a right-handed player's backhand, which would be the outside corner. And that's where I'll try and hit about 4 or 5 there toward that outside corner. All right, did you see that net hop up and get me on that one? That's not right. Okay, then once I feel pretty good about that, I will usually try and hit one to my opponent's body. So we'll let that inside foot, the foot closer to the center line, represent that. So we'll practice that. All right, then I usually will go to the middle, down what sometimes is called the T, to that inside box. Struggling a little bit with that wind today and trying to figure out exactly how much my ball is moving. All right, and then I'll try and hit a few that are a little bit shorter, and this is one of my weaker serves, so let's work on that. And try and hit different areas with that. And like a pitcher throwing a changeup, try and disguise that. Make sure you're not giving that away with your body language. Try and make it look exactly the same no matter where you're going to hit that ball. Okay? And then sometimes you vary the speed as well. You saw most all of those I hit with about the same speed, but sometimes I'll pull up a little bit on the speed and try and hit for more spin. So let's try that a little bit. All right, now I always do this too. If I can, I'll try and hit one right after the other, because you need to be able to not hit the same one over and over again. You need to be able to vary it from time to time. So I'll hit one to each location and try and hit all 4 or 5 in consecutive serves. All right. Well, that wasn't my best, but you get the idea. You got to have a great variety in your serves, and sometimes it takes good feel while you're in the middle of a game. You know, not just out here drilling, but you've got to be able to do it in a drill and in a game, and just think through that process. I didn't pitch a lot in Little League, but I got kind of the basics, and if you watch college, Major League Baseball, you kind of get a feel for trying to keep a batter off base, off balance at the plate. And that's what I think we're trying to do here as well. Trying to force your opponent to respond to you when you're hitting the first ball, when you're hitting the serve. And I think there's an advantage there that I don't see many players take advantage of. So that's my thought, and I hope this has been helpful to you. I'm going to put a link in here at the bottom. If you find this process helpful, if you want to, you can give me something through Venmo. Just whatever you think is helpful, that'd be great. I appreciate it very much. I just love pickleball, and I love people, and I love Jesus, and I just want you to have this and have it be helpful to you. And so I appreciate the opportunity and that you watch this far along. Thanks a lot.